Hi, my name is Trisha, and I am the Vice President of the nonprofit Casey Book Beat. We aim to connect readers with local literary talent, fostering a deeper appreciation for the stories that shape our community. Through this catalog and our local events, we want to provide a platform for authors, bookstores, and publishers to reach a wider audience and strengthen their presence in Kansas City. We have so many amazing events coming up in the year 2025. We have our Writers' Workshop in January. We have a children's book fair in April and so many more, including our Casey Lit and Libations in May and November. Love to see you.
So, welcome back, guys. This is Sarah.
And I'm Erika. And we are Living Understaffed, the podcast about not having enough hands or hours and when your best just isn't very good.
Also today, I feel like we say it every time we record, but like I woke up at 6:30 because I had to pee because I'm old. But like I came back to bed, couldn't sleep, so I started editing some shit and I started doing some things. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like nap before we record. And then I start thinking about today. Have to record. Then I'm doing this audio drama that's called Hammer, Toe, and Bunyan. You're welcome. And so we have a read through today, and I have to record my audio files. And then Erika and I are doing like the book club meeting this afternoon. So I'm just like, who needs a day off? Obviously not me. No, I need a fucking personal assistant. God.
Me too. I was saying this morning. I'm a menace to everyone, but mostly myself.
That's true. And we were texting and she says that and all I said was ha ha ha. And she's like, you are too. Don't even like, don't play with me.
Yeah. So I took my ADHD medication at like 10 p.m. last night because I forgot to take it. And I was like, oh, I'll just take it now. Because I was going to go out with my sister. And then I didn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. And then I woke up at 8. And I have a date, but I might cancel it because he is being weird. Like, yeah, he's like, okay, so we're on Tinder. He seems normal. He's the resume guy where he was like, oh, you seem like you really like.
Oh, he gave you that one compliment.
I was like, oh, I'm going to use that on my resume. Anyway, and then he's like texting me and he's like, oh, I really like your piercings. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, how many do you have? And I was like, 9. And he's like, what piercings do you have? And I like told him what piercings I have. And then he's like, you should show me your piercings. And I'm like, I'm not showing you my nipple piercings, sir. I have not met you. He's like, I didn't say that. I was like,
you just did. You literally.
Which piercings are you really interested in, sir?
It's your septum. That's fine.
I'm such a bitch. And he's like, no, that's not what I meant. But maybe, if you wanted to send me a picture, with like a shirt on or something. And I was like, yeah. Also no. And he's like, well, like, I want to, I want to see you. And I was like, okay, like, these are when I'm available. And he was like, okay, like, let's have coffee or something tomorrow afternoon. And I was like, great. And he's like, oh, I just want to like, and he like several more times, he was like, I just want to see what they look like. I was like, I guess you're just going to have to try to like, see if you can spot them tomorrow. And he's like, well, you're going to be wearing a lot of clothes. And I was like, you're right. It's going to be cold. So I guess you're just going to have to make sure that I like you enough to go on another date. And he was like, oh, what? And then he's like, have you ever thought about getting your belly button pierced? And I was like, no, I don't want to. And he's like, why not? I'm like, do you have some weird piercing fetish? And if
it sounds like it. It sounds like it.
Why are you like, I haven't even met you and I already feel objectified. I'm not interested.
I feel like we're just not doing that. I feel like this is just the time to cut that loose.
Yeah, just get your own toy or whatever and you can give her as many piercings as you want. You can play with them as you see fit.
Yeah. Except he's going to turn that into a voodoo doll and then there's going to be weird things happening. We can't.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's awkward.
And those things are going to be just him pawing at my tits the entire time.
Or your feet. I mean, if he's a foot dude.
Foot. Yeah, there's a different foot guy. I am the amount of time I have had people request, especially since I dance as a hobby. I don't know if you're aware of this, but dancing is horrible for your feet. Awful. Because they're like calloused and like you're always like I have broken my toe and like I'm sure I'm like it's not cute ever.
Like, some people are into that, dude.
I know.
Some people are into it. That happened to me. I think that happened to me last year. I got like real hot and heavy with this dude. And there was one night that things were great in the sack. Like things were going very, very well. And he put my toes in his mouth. And I immediately was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he got like red in the face. And he's like, oh, I was just feeling it in the moment. And I'm like, don't.
See, if you're it's fine if you're into that. And I'm like fresh out of the shower, fine. Like live your best life. But just don't be weird about it. Don't be weird about it. Don't be like, this literally happened to me recently. This guy was like, will you send me a video of your feet saying my name? And I was like, no, full stop, like no context. I was like, no. He's like, oh, why? I'm like, why would I do that? And then later he's like, no, it's totally fine. And I was like, okay. And then later he's like, can you still send me a video of your feet not saying anything? I was like, no, if you want it so bad, like,
I don't.
If you're going to be weird, live your best life. But like, if I'm going to be objectified, pay me for it. So then at least we know.
We have a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I do have an appreciation for a guy who likes like my nails to be done and like having a pedicure. I have an appreciation for that because that's my self-care. Thank you so much. So like for someone to be like, oh, your nails look really good. Thank you. But not to be like, send me a video and say my name. Like,
yeah,
no.
Like,
it's very strange.
Actually, I think also maybe I don't know if it's just that they're not used to me just being more like no nonsense, or if they like just because sometimes they don't understand, and I think it's just because they're men, or maybe it's just because they're dumb, but they're like, what?
But I think it's also women, at least in my opinion, women are coming into their era of standing on their own 2 fucking feet. And so I think they're also used to women not objecting to that and just being like, okay, that's fucking weird, but I'll do it. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's also it's probably a combination. Let's just probably.
Yeah. Like it. Like, so my sister is the one who's currently living here with me. She's a lot younger than me, and she's I'm cute. She's adorable. And she's also like younger. So like a lot of guys just like flock to her, which get it, girl. But it hasn't happened quite yet, but it definitely has happened before where like a guy will like try to dance with her or something, and she's like, nah. And then he'll like come over to me and be like, hey. And I'm like, absolutely not. No. No. They're like, what? Like, oh, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to be grateful that I was your second choice?
No.
Also, what makes you think I want you? Like, that's just like taken for granted.
Yeah. Not
in Fayetteville, where it's like the ratio is like 3-1. I'm like, I have men serenading me in my DMs. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. I will take the number of the guy that I've been fucking for 2 hours, who's 6'5", who gives me his number as he leaves the establishment. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, who's brave enough to ask for my number?
Correct. So we are getting a little off track, which is pretty on key with living understaffed anyway. So I do want to introduce our guest because Trisha is pretty legit. I met her in Kansas City a couple weekends ago because I went up to spend time with the amazing Meg Becker that we've had on the show before. Meg and I have been friends for a couple of years now, and there was a Book Beat event, right? That's what it's called, Book Beat. I just want to make sure, Casey, okay. So there was the fall Casey Book Beat event that Meg got invited to kind of at the last minute. And so she, I was going to be in town the same weekend. She's like, bitch, you're coming with me. That's fine with me. I've been her PA at events before. So I'm like, that's totally fine. I got you. You just have to walk me through the pay system again, because it's been a minute since I went to Michigan with her on her last event. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. So probably about a third of the way through the night, Trisha comes over because her best friend works with Meg at her job in Kansas City. And so this is the first time that they're meeting. This is the first time I'm meeting Trisha. And we're all just kind of talking. And it comes out that I'm co-host of a podcast. And Trisha was like, oh, I have been wanting to talk to somebody about the shit going on in my life and how I've been understaffed for a hot minute. So I was like, all right. And we had a conversation and we just started texting, and it was like, that's it. Like, you're coming on the show. So Trisha is actually the owner of Sunfox Books in Kansas City, and then recently has become the vice president of KC Bookbeat. And I am fucking here for it. So Trisha, hello. Welcome to Living Understaffed.
Hello. Thank you.
So, I mean, you've listened to the show a little bit. One of the things that we talk about is just kind of like recently, how have you felt understaffed, like you yourself?
I'm gonna trauma dump.
Oh, we love that.
We're here for it.
Let's trauma bond.
Yes, absolutely. It's like a sleepover. It's fine. So, long story short, October 17th, my husband had brain surgery. After he passed out back in February, smashed his face on the ground, dropped his Dutch bros, which was also tragic. Very sad. And so we had to spend, how nothing happens quickly in medical care,
except on Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%. So he had McDreamy take a tumor out of his brain in October. So that was October 17th, and Casey Lit and Libations was November 9th. And so the last month I have spent working my full-time job, doing my Sunfox Books stuff, doing all the social media that comes with all of that, helping Stacy with the founder of KC Bookbeat, helping her with Lit and Libations, taking care of our 6-year-old, and then also having my own chronic illness. So the last month has just felt like I'm an insane person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm fine, but also I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown. I'm a badass, but how much longer can I go?
Yes. That's kind of where I am. Because then now, we're getting into the holiday season, and, I want to give my kid, he's 6, he's still, at that cute, fun age, and I want to give him, the best memories, the best feelings, and, my biggest thing is I didn't want him to feel my stress and my anxiety and sleep deprivation through all of this. I'm trying to get my kid to come into adulthood as, least traumatized as you possibly can.
Just traumatized enough to be funny, but not so traumatized that he needs therapy.
Exactly. So it's been a juggle because my husband, he's still recovering from brain surgery, so he can't really do a whole lot, and he's been so good and he's amazing, but I'm stop trying to pick up shit, stop picking that up, stop trying to do shit. It's monitoring another toddler almost.
Yeah.
And then I work at a grocery store, and it's the holiday season, and people are just not a vibe.
10 thumbs down. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, would not recommend. This is why I shop online. Just go pick it up. See you later. I can't stand that shit.
Can I stock my dairy department remotely?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how you do that, but that's not for us to decide. We don't need to figure that out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ideas.
Oh.
Oh, hi.
What's his
Elrond.
name?
Elrond. That makes me so happy.
Or a different Elrond?
It's from Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
First of all, Erika, I'm in love with you right now. Thank you for pulling out that Scientology. Oh my God. She said it and I was like, yeah. But my first thought was, I was like, oh my God, I love Elrond. And then she goes, oh, you mean L. Ron Hubbard? Oh, God. If I wasn't in love with you before, I am for sure now.
You can be here, but you can't be a menace.
I love the tail in the face. It's fucking hilarious.
I had this conversation with my sister. So she moved here recently, and we're in the process. I'm in the process of moving / getting it. It's a whole thing. Anyway, she's here, and we're like moving in together. And anyway, long story short, she's like, "Oh, it's like, how do you like, navigate like talking to men?" And I'm like, it's nice being in a situation now at the age that I am now that like they have to treat me better than my best friends, and they have to treat me better than my sister. And they set a really high bar. So I'm like, are you going to make me dinner? Because my sister will. So are you going to like, if I live with her, I have twice the wardrobe because we're the same size and we have the same size of shoes. Like, what do you bring to the table, sir?
100%.
We had a whole episode about that, actually. So things have been going awry with your husband, but obviously improving. So that's cool. I mean, you're working your ass off. Like suspiciously, I would be suspicious too. Like, hold on, what's gonna happen next? Like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And I'm like, you had brain surgery a month ago. Like, how are you like walking around and like functioning as a human being? Like, what the hell? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're clearly a superhero. I don't even know.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, Sarah did tell me about Casey Bookbeat and what was it? Sun Fox Books. Can you explain to me and also our listeners more about that?
The Sun Fox Books?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like what made you start that? Like, what is it? Like, everything.
What made me start it? Dissatisfaction with corporate America and capitalism.
Aren't we all?
I'm here for it.
No, I know. I mean, I had like that dream as like a little girl, like I'm gonna live in Bell's Library and like Fox Society. Like, I mean, not 10-year-old me, but you know what I mean. Like,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
If I could just have been with like my animals and my books, I would have been like a happy camper. And so that's that thought that like the female experience of every so often you float in your brain, like I'm going to open a bookstore / coffee shop / plant store / like cat sanctuary, whatever. And
like the literal dream. I would.
Yes. So earlier this year, I was like, my job is fine. I don't hate it. It's okay. But like, it's just a job. And unfortunately, I'm a big dreamer. Yay, Pisces.
Gemini too, buddy.
So, yes. So I finally was just like, I'm just going to put out feelers. So I started like posting in like Facebook groups about like vendor Facebook groups or bookseller Facebook groups. Like, I can't afford a brick and mortar store. Like, that's not doable. And so basically the whole like, oh, you could do a mobile bookstore or you could do a pop-up bookstore. And at first I looked over the summer into, there's a couple of like boutique type stores where they have like a whole bunch of vendors inside. And I'd looked at those, but I was like, I don't feel like I'm going to, like the rent for those cubbies won't match. And I'm unfortunately, I'm a people person. And so
I feel it.
Having that like face-to-face communication. I'm like, could I not be extroverted? Like, I don't want to be, but it is. And so, Stacy saw me like posting in one of the vendors. And again, she's the founder of Casey Bookbeat. And there's a few other people too, who like were like, oh my gosh, you should do a pop-up bookstore. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And so then I literally just started going to thrift stores and finding like a whole bunch of secondhand books that were like in still good condition and stuff. Cause I'm poor, like we're broke. It's fine.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
So basically my first event was in August. And what that looked like is Main Street Coffee in Independence, Missouri. That has such like a special place in my heart for like the last decade. So I really wanted my first event to be there. And so I set up, it was just like a bunch of random crap that I had like pulled together like you do for your first event. But
hell yeah.
I had a table and a rack and like something else. And I sold some new books. I was able to get some books that were new. So I just sold a whole bunch of new books, some used books, and a whole bunch of kids' books. And then I had like a big bargain bin basically filled with Anne Rice vampire books, which was great.
Love those.
And those were like $3. And I sold out. I nearly pooped my pants because this was the first event that I'd ever done in my whole life. I didn't know what I was doing. And I made the Facebook event like a month or so before. And I had like, I think it showed like 900 people saying they were interested. And I was like, please don't all show up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have enough. I don't have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't help everybody. But and it was also the Friday afternoon right before school started. And the coffee shop, they do like vendor events there, like I think every Saturday or so. And so they were like, we want to give you a realistic idea. Like some vendors don't do very well, some do really well. And I was like, it's fine. I'm just here for funsies. And I got off work early, so bonus. But
hell yeah.
I basically created
Love
this
that for you.
store in like a corner of the coffee shop. But yeah, I made like $700 on my very first event.
That's phenomenal.
And and then from there, I talked about this with Stacy recently. I'm like, how did you adopt me? Like, how did you find me? But
yeah,
we just, it's just things. Sometimes you just like trip and fall into a friendship, and that's kind of how it worked. And I made a TikTok a while ago about how like I loved selling my books. Like I love selling and doing the bookstore thing. Cause now what I do at my pop-ups is I also have a local author come with me and set up a booth for themselves.
I love that. I love that so much.
I'm successful. Yeah. I want other people to be successful. Like the only reason I want to have like so many followers on TikTok is so that way when I do a review of an indie author, they like become bestseller, like.
Yes.
I want everybody to be successful.
Yeah.
And then Stacy kind of saw me talking about that on TikTok and she's like, girl, that's literally what I'm doing with Casey Bookbeat. Come join the party. And I was like, woo. So Sunfox Books is still like my outreach kind of thing where I get to be in front of the community and talk to people and meet new authors and new readers and stuff and be like, hey, do you know all these cool events? Because there's so many other events going on too in the city. And I just want everybody to read books and be happy.
It's the best thing. This is also why we do indie authors for the book club. Like, because that was the same thing with that's how Erika and I actually met, is because of a book club, of a local book club when she was still in Missouri. And so doing indie authors was something that I really wanted to do because those people, like, they're only making so much money. And just like you, just like me, just like Erika, like we have dreams and we have ambitions, but we can't meet those ambitions without working our full-time job right now. So we have to work the full-time job and still take care of business, but then we're still doing all these other great, amazing, ambitious things. And so I love having that aspect of Sunfox Books too, because for the podcast, like we've had indie authors on the show already, and we have other people that are interested in being on the show that are indie authors. So that's like, it's everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
They put their heart and blood into it. And I'm actually I've spent the last 2-ish years writing my own fantasy novel too. And I'm like, this is terrifying. Like, I cannot imagine like being published and then putting yourself in front of people. And like, I don't want anybody, like all these local authors, I'm like, you're my friends. Like whether you like it or not, we're friends now. And so
correct.
I don't want you to launch your new book and have 0 sales. Like I want people to believe in themselves.
So Megan and I actually met at a writers conference in Springfield, Missouri. That's how we met. And we like bonded instantly. One of the workshops that we went to, there was one lady who, she's she's trying to be pragmatic in the information that she's giving out, and she's trying to be real with us and like very much, very transparent, where she's like, I just want you guys to know that there's, X number of people who publish their own book every year. Every year there's, well, let's just say 100,000 people that publish their own book. I don't think it's that high, but we're going to pretend. So it's 100,000 people that publish their own book, and not even their mother buys it. It's like I want to say it's like 70% of people, is a very high percentage. Not even 70% of those people have their own mother or their friend's circle buy their book. And it's like, I hate that for them, because, it could be a combination of things. They don't want to market it. They just want to say that they published a book, and like maybe that was their, their baby, their child that they've been carrying around forever. And like, that's just, this is a thing that I can check off on my to-do list. Cool. But there's other people that I'm sure at least had conversations with their mom or their brother or their sister about it, and not even those people bought the book. Like, that's rough. That's fucking rough.
Well, and what I've learned too through like Sun Fox Books is, and so I'm also an artist. It's fine. I collect hobbies. We do what we do.
We do.
And I learned this with my art as well. Yeah. I don't know why, and it's not a knock on any of my friends. So if you're listening, like, don't take this personally. But strangers are more likely to be so supportive of what you're doing than people closest to you. Like, I have found so much more support from people who started out as strangers, like random people on TikTok, new people in the book community that I've met. They've been so much more supportive of like, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? Hey, here's some resources, rather than like the people closest to me. Like, and that blows my mind. Like, I don't know, but my therapist always is like, you can't expect you from other people. And so you can't expect that other people are going to have even the mindset or the wherewithal to like, oh, this person's trying to be successful, let me boost them. Like, it's not like a bad thing. It's just a neutral thing.
There's a lot of social media posts too that I see that are like, keep your plans and keep your successes to yourself until it's all over, because you don't always have a fan base in your circle. So like there's people that like in Misco, if I were to talk about the podcast, or if I were to talk about being an artist or being an author or anything like that, I know that there are people in that building that would like immediately shame it. And I'm like, that it kind of resonates, like not being able to talk about those successes or those plans because you don't want anything ruined. But then for me, I think it's good to talk about some of those things, because then you can see who really is in your circle. And then you can just kind of like, okay, you have a place in my life and it's not within this circle. Like there's placement of people. I just had this conversation too with one of my family members. They are coming into some success of their own, and it's really exciting. There's some really big things happening, but they told their parents about said success, about this most recent milestone, and they were just kind of blasé about it. Just, oh, that's great, super. And then we talked on the phone the other day, and we're having a conversation about like next steps and what's happening and who she's coming into contact with and all that. And I am like, dude, that's so fucking exciting. Like, it's so fucking cool. And, one of those big milestones, one of my siblings and I went through and we downloaded the stuff that she was selling. And we went through and we like found stuff and we sent reviews and we did all these things because that's how we can support. And they said that even their parents didn't buy that stuff. They didn't probably even look at the website, at least. And I'm like, that sucks so much, because it's not that they have a strained relationship. It's just that the parents didn't want to do it. And I'm like,
don't care.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that makes my heart hurt. So especially for the like go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say like my family is a little bit like that. So also my mom and my middleest sister are like pearl clutchers. So I was a little bit like, I don't really want you to listen to my podcast anyway. But when I was visiting over the summer, my middle sister, like, it came up on her TikTok and I was like, oh, oops. So she was talking about it and I was like, oh, well, since you guys know about it, like, this is my podcast. This is where you can like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, please and thank you. And both of them like, oh, of course I'm going to support. Of course I am. I'm going to do all of this stuff. No, I know for a fact they haven't listened to a single episode. My youngest sister, the one who's here, she likes, comments every single TikTok video that I think we have. Like every single one. Like she's, which is so nice. Cause like, yeah, again, it's like not a negative thing. And it is, for me, it's easy to be like, oh, obviously it's because they think I'm terrible. That's not true. They just don't care, which isn't necessarily better, but it's true. It's like, it's a neutral thing. Like, I don't have the best relationship with my mom, but like, she thinks we have a great relationship. Like, she thinks she's the most supportive mother ever.
Same.
So I'm like,
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you can totally tell who your people are.
Yeah. And you're right though. There are sorry. There what I was backing you up, Trisha, because with the podcast stuff, there's people that I've met just through like Twitter circles, through Instagram, people just sending in messages being like, this is so relatable. I have a friend, Brooke, if you ever listen to this, I know you listen to this, Brooke, she lives and works in Rolla. It's 30 minutes. We haven't seen each other in 2 fucking years, but she literally comments on almost everything, likes every single video. She will send me messages and like videos of like, this is totally us, or this is for the podcast, or things like that. And like, oh my God, it's probably, oh fuck, I haven't seen her since before Germany. That was 2017. And like,
oh geez.
It's, yeah. So like, you know, when you have people and like, she's not necessarily a stranger, but it's the same thing. Like the Twitter circles that I'm in, there's people that share our posts that have never listened to it, but because we're in a support group type of thing to help support indie podcasts, we're all sharing each other's content. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful community to be a part of when you're really like boosting those people who they have their full time, they have their family, they have their current like societal status, right? And then they're like, let me just take on 7 more hobbies. Cool, thanks. Like, yes, let's do it. Sorry, Trisha, I cut you off. Go ahead.
You're okay. Well, and I've learned too, for my own mental health, like, I need to meet people where they are as far as their own capacity. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, I have one friend, I'm going to plug her art business because it's amazing. Duckworth Art. She is a phenomenal pet portrait oil painter. Like, oh my gosh, she's incredible. And I'm going to have her do like a regal portrait of my golden retriever soon. But, you know, she doesn't have the capacity for XYZ, but I know if I go to her and be like, hey, I designed my book cover, or she reads a lot of high fantasy. Hey, what do you think of this world building thing? She has the capacity to talk to me about that. And then I have other friends like, I have more like, my friend Meg owns Pulp Fiction Comics and Games with her husband. I can talk to her about like, oh my God, tax stuff, help, please, what? So I have to assign like mental roles in my head to my friends if I am going to reach out and just like ask for like, these people can be my hype people. These people can be all of that and more. Like, and then it takes off pressure they don't even know that they have. Do you know what I mean? But then it doesn't hurt my feelings too.
Yes.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's worth it when you have how do I explain my thought process? It's worth it when you have the surroundings of people who are also pursuing similar end goals, right? So not just necessarily the similar interests, but similar end game where like, like an indie author event, all of those people are trying at least to a certain extent to have at least one bestseller. All of those people. Or a medium seller, because still a medium seller is better than nothing, right? So like that was something with the book conference that Meg and I met at, the one lady who was like trying to be very pragmatic. She said that none of you in this room will be a bestseller, but some of you might be a good seller. So we created a private Facebook group for our little group that's the good sellers team. And it's like, fuck you, lady. Like one of us is going to do it, But the whole thing is like having that support and having those circles to kind of lean on is huge. It's fucking massive. So okay. So explain to me how KC, bless you. Explain to me how KC Bookbeat works. Cause that I had never really heard of that event until Meg was like, hey, I got a last minute slot. Let's go. All right. Like, I'll go.
So that was our first event. And oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Also, I do need to note, when I was talking to you, I had several cocktails by that point. So I don't remember our conversation.
As all the best conversations start.
This is why we get along so well. I'm not even mad about it.
Because I'm like, I don't drink ever. And so I was like, we're going to do this. And then my best friend Rachel was like, yeah, you talked to her. And I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. And she's in my phone now. So.
That's phenomenal.
So with KC Bookbeat, our whole goal is to really help the local author community. And what we mean by local is the 200-mile, imagine you have a map and there's like the 200-mile perimeter from Kansas City. Like we kind of are extending it quite a bit because there's a lot of rural authors and stuff who they are like an hour and a half away from Barnes & Noble or any bookstore. And so we're like, hey, we'll help you. So we really want to help them boost. We want to help them connect with their readers. And then also get them into bookstores. And, you know, the thing that I love about it too is we're kind of at still the beginning stages of this. We just Stacy started this year and then like brought me on board, but it's evolving. And like Casey Lit and Libations was like so successful and so fun. And we had great feedback from all the authors. And
it was so fun.
So we wanted to take all that good and not so good feedback and kind of wrap that into like a cute little present. So that way, when we do our future events, we just keep getting better and better. And, you know, in January, we're going to be doing a writer's workshop sort of thing, like an author's workshop. And we just want to help authors. Yeah. So that way they know, hey, they can come to us and we are a good resource to get them connected to whatever maybe they need. I don't know. It's so nice. Like, I just want to help everybody be successful.
Well, so I will say, so I showed up to the event and it was it's a community center, right? That's what because Meg just gave me the address. She's like, here you go. And I'm like, do. Like, got it. Okay, I'll be there. Like,
it is not, and it is. So, Heather, who owns, or like, I'm still figuring out like the dynamics there, but basically Heather, who is the one who like, we rented it from and everything. I think she owns or rents like most of that facility. It says church on it, but because it was like acquired earlier this year, it's not a church. She just hasn't had a chance to take the sign down. Oh. So it's the co-op at Shoal Creek and event space. So there's like a podcast recording studio in there, like an audio recording studio in there that people can rent. There's conference rooms, there's offices, like there's several businesses that rent that for their office space and just work out of there. There's the event space you guys were in. Like she was taking me through it and I'm like, this is like a TARDIS. I'm so lost. Like it's bigger on the inside. Like it's a massive workspace and it's so beautiful. And yeah, like, so that's kind of where we're having our home base be because we also share the same ideas as Heather, where she's like, I want to help people be successful. And her scope of events are like way bigger than just the book community, which I'm like, I want to help you do everything.
So. That's phenomenal. That's so cool. So like Erika, we just had like a moment, right? Like we want to try to record in that studio while we're in Kansas City together. Like 100%. Yeah. So Trisha, I'll have to ask for contact info for said person so like we can rent the booth because first of all, we need to have that how do I explain it? We need to have that physical moment of both of us being in a studio so that we can sort of like manifest that visual for the future. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that because my whole jaw went to the floor. Like, oh, that'd be so cool. Anyway, so okay, so I helped Meg walk in. We had to find her table set up. We had to, we set everything up. And the event was really cool. So you guys had like a caterer that was there with cute little like dessert boxes and little snacks and stuff that people could purchase. And then they also had a bar open for people to go and get lit. Like it was so fantastic. Like everything just kind of came together. And like the way that all of the authors had their tables set up, like, and I've been to events before with authors, like, you have your booth, you have your tablecloth, you have your book set up, you have images, you have banners, you have lights. Like there's all of these really cool things and everybody kind of has their own taste and their own kind of spice to add to it. And I love the atmosphere of it. So she and I were sitting together, and we've been really close friends for a couple of years. So she and I were getting lit, and we were fucking cackling about so many things so often. And even, so you guys also had a photographer that was walking around, and every time she walked by, she was like, you guys are all, like, I can't get a picture of you guys just sitting and smiling because you guys are sitting here crying, laughing. Like, I was like, that's a compliment. Thank you. Like, we're enjoying ourselves. Thank you so much. So I just want you to know that, yeah, sorry, not sorry. But like, I just want you to know that like the event itself from an outsider perspective, because I just showed up to help my friend. Like, all right, I'm gonna be a PA today. Cool. It was very inviting. It was very warm. You guys had a shit ton of stuff to appeal to a shit ton of people. And like, I just think it is so cool because some of the book events that I've been to have been specific to specific genres, right? And so I've been to romance conventions, and I've been to one of the fantasy conventions in Iowa, and like there's a couple of those things that it's very specific, like genre specific. And this, because it had so much, I really loved it because not only do I read romance and I read fantasy, but also I will read the paranormal, and I will read the psychological thriller, and I will read all of these things. And there are people out there that they're very specific in what they read. I'm not one of those people. And so I really loved having, now my bank account does not love having all of those things because she is currently upset with me. But like, I really, it was very warm and inviting. I just want you to know, like, I'm also boosting you up too, because I wouldn't say all of these nice things about something that I really didn't enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be that person. So,
yeah, you're not blowing smoke on my.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the big things that Stacey and I really wanted to nurture, is like, we wanted a good vibe, because I don't remember like specifics of a lot of events that I go to, but I remember how it made me feel.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, because like outside we did have a food truck that was there, and we had like a photo booth truck, which I think went over really well, but I think we'll do better in May because it won't be dark by like 5:00.
Also correct. Yeah. Which can I say it on the episode? So about going to the show, can I say it that you invited us?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah. Secret.
So one of the really cool things, like, Trisha doesn't remember our conversation at the event, but after the event, she so sweetly and politely texts me like, "Hey girl," you know, like it was very nice. So we got talking and all that jazz, and she asked me if we would be interested in having a slot for the show in May. And I was like, 1,000%, you know, like, and initially she said for our next event. Yeah. And so initially she said for our next event, and I was like, oh fuck, like, we're not going to be ready for something in January, February. Like, we're not going to be ready. It's too overwhelming, you know, like, no. And she goes, oh, it's in May. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, we will. We have time. So Erika and I have already like started talking about table decorations. We've already started talking about like merch that we can order ahead to like have to sell to people, which I love this project because it is fairly inexpensive, and it's something that's helping also to keep me out of trouble a little bit. But like it is very much a creative outlet for me, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass right now because I'm so behind in editing. Like the episode for this coming week is not at all uploaded and ready to go, and I'm like, it's fine. I live the epitome of the understaffed life, so I'm just like, it's fine. I also have a date today, so I'm like, priorities. It's fine. So I'm very excited about the event in May because it will be our first in-person event. It will also be if like, I'm going out to North Carolina in February for Valentine's Day because fuck men, we don't need men. Erika and I are going to have like a weekend together. We're going to get tattoos, obviously. So we do have a date.
Cute.
So from February, Kansas City will be only the second time that she and I have recorded in the same physical space. So I'm really excited about that too, because the online platform is working for us. Like we make it work and it's totally fine, but we're also going to be in the same time zone. Holy shit. Like what the fuck? Yeah. So I'm really excited about it. And just the fact that it's going to be like our first event, it could be a total disaster and nobody buys anything and nobody comes and sits down and does a little promo with us. Like it could be that. And Erika and I will just take turns sitting in the comfy chair and being assholes to each other. It'll be totally fine.
100%.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
I greatly appreciate you like giving us a chance to, because we're both super excited.
Well, you guys also have
super excited.
You guys also have the same values and mission, just in a different way than I think Stacey and I have with KC Bookbeat. And I think it's really important to nurture that in different media formats, and through different voices. And so when I heard you talk about I forgot which podcast. I've been listening to everything from you guys, and now I don't remember. It's like a fever dream. But
yes,
just listening to you guys so much talk about your own struggles and your own gripes about humanity and whatnot too. I'm like, you know what? These are real raw human beings, and I feel like so many people only show the good side of life. And for me, I would have loved to hear you guys when I first started my book stuff. I would have loved to hear you guys when I first got my Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis and stuff. There's so many points in my life that listening to you guys talk about your own personal gripes and dark humor is the best thing. It's the only way we can get through life,
100%.
I've spent my whole life feeling wrong as a person because I am a dreamer. I don't want to settle for just the regular 9 to 5. I want to do big, important, meaningful things. And until this year, I didn't know other people like that existed. So I thought I was just incorrect as a person. And so then meeting people like Stacey and then Vanessa Kramer, my author bestie, and then meeting you guys, I'm like, oh, I'm not wrong. I just didn't find my people. So I want to help with the platform I have, promote you guys so that other people have the same experience I did.
Okay.
I know that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. So I'm gonna need a minute to recover.
Okay, so we can put the spotlight back on you. Can you back up to the diagnosis? Because I can't handle any more compliments. I'm gonna break down. What is this diagnosis? What are you, because you said it, that didn't even compute to my brain. So what?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
So it's really fun whenever you have one diagnosis, it comes with a whole slew of other things, it's asshole little friends.
You're such an asshole. Yeah, it's really fun. Okay.
So I have something called Ehlers-Danlos. I got the genetic testing for it. There's a version of it where you don't need genetic testing, but I went through KU and all that fun stuff. So basically, my body doesn't process collagen properly, which is a building block of your whole body. So imagine, the way my rheumatologist described it is, imagine here's the ingredients for an apple pie, and here's the recipe for an apple pie, and you make a meat pie. It just doesn't my body's I don't know what the fuck to do with this, so I'm not gonna do anything. So that comes along with something called mast cell activation syndrome, to where my body will just randomly have histamine dumps. And so when I was a personal trainer, it was a problem. I didn't know what it was, but I couldn't work out for I couldn't do cardio because my body would have a histamine reaction. And my body would be covered in itchy hives. Certain foods caused me to have digestive issues. And then I also have POTS, but I actually blame COVID for that because that's a heart issue. And then I have a heart aneurysm too, but that's fine. That's its own fun thing.
What the fuck,
and then I
dude?
also have I know, I also have an autoimmune disorder.
I'm laughing because Sarah and I, if we were talking about, anytime we talk about health problems, we're the same. We're it's fine. I slept 4 hours last night and I can't stop bleeding, but it's okay.
I'm dying a little bit, but we're all good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Walking pneumonia, but here I am. It's all good.
When my husband got his right before his brain surgery, my husband, his brother, got him a T-shirt that says "Brain tumor, 1 star, would not recommend."
I love that so much. I mean, I don't, but wow, I'm here for that.
Right.
Oh,
And he wore it proudly, like, great. So it gets heavy, and so you have to just accept, like, I will never get better, you know what I mean? Like, I found ways to cope with it, I found things around it, but at the end of the day, like, I have these things, and it's okay. I just have to the road to acceptance was a long one, because I went from being a personal trainer and in school to be a physical therapist, had my beautiful baby boy 6 years ago, and then my body was like, "Fuck you, you can't even lift a dumbbell," and so then I've just been, like, rewriting my whole self for the last 5 years. So that's been fun. But,
that's brutal.
luckily, a lot of people in the bookish world are also, like, chronically ill, so yay! Solidarity.
Right?
Yeah.
We did I guess an extensive book review on How to Keep House While You're Drowning by Casey Davis.
Ooh. It's the episode that's coming out that I'm editing right now. So
yeah. It's a great book because, well, Sarah and I are both like neurodivergent and just generally like have to recently when you talk about like I just thought that the way that I was an incorrect person, like she and I both felt the same way about like the amount of times in my life where somebody's been like, why, like it's easy, just do it like this, and I'm like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but I cannot do that.
Or someone being like, this is how you were taught, this is how you were raised, this is how you do it, and I still can't get into that routine, or I still can't do it the same way every time. And I'm like, I don't understand my own brain. This book was both, and we mentioned it in the show, this book was both a blessing and a curse, because it was triggering, first of all, that it was like within the first 60 seconds of this person reading in my car that I was like, they were like, oh, are you, do you feel a certain type of way? Do you feel triggered? Are you offended? And if your answer is yes, then this book is for you. And on the inside, I'm like raging down the highway, like, fuck you, I am triggered. Like, yeah. So it's very cool in a sense of like, it helped me kind of understand my own brain, because I live with me every day. And I know that there's certain things that that I can't handle. So like, my laundry, like first of all, I fucking, who likes doing laundry? I don't understand your brain at all, and like more power to you. But like, I cannot do my laundry in an efficient manner at all, ever. And it's been like that since I was a kid. My fucking parents used to drive them crazy. So like for me and Erika, for her too, like she has a sweater bucket, an actual basket that is just for her sweaters. And that's just, she and her therapist decided, they kind of talked that through, and they were like, all right, instead of having my sweaters like strewn about my place, I'm going to have a bucket, and this is where it's going to be. And that process has been working for her. And so from that conversation and her kind of telling me about that, I have a laundry basket that my laundry goes into mostly. But then I also have 2 smaller laundry baskets, like that's for my jeans, and it's for my sweatshirts and zip up sweaters and whatever. And like, that's what those 2 baskets are for. Because like, I can't keep those things either in a drawer, on a hanger, or organized to save my life. And like, they just go into the basket. And that helps me. That helps me. So I'm also the same way with socks. I do not match my socks. Like, I will match the style of sock, but the color or the pattern or whatever, nope, not worth my time. In the grand scheme of laundry, matching socks is not worth my time. So I just put them all in a drawer. As long as it's the same length and the same style of sock, then that's it. I just grab the 2 and call it a day. But I didn't realize that that was because of my, neurodivergence. I didn't realize that I thought it was just me, saving time. I thought it was me just being efficient. Like, I don't fucking need to fold socks. Who does that? Yeah. But this book really, like, I'll send you the link for it. It's only like a 3-hour listen, and I listened to it like 4 times before we recorded that show.
It also, we were talking about this last night too. Like, that book not only was so helpful, because we both struggle a lot with like how to keep my house clean.
Yeah.
It's just really stressful because it's like I'm just not good at organizing stuff. Like I can't, like people can, like there are people that can look at like a pile of clothes and be like, oh, this is just what needs to happen. I can't do that. That's not how my brain works. But also the way she sort of like broke it down was like everything you don't, there is no right way to do that. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I know that. But then she was like, well, why don't you, this is the way I do it. And I was like, I had never like even thought that things could be done that way or thinking about things that way. Or at one point she's like, when, I clean up the night before when it's my husband's morning with the kids because I want to do a kindness for him, and then teaching myself to do that same kindness
for myself.
So
no.
I know that was exactly, and Sarah and I talked about, we were like triggered. And that also in the book, it's in the context of like cleaning and like keeping your house and doing your chores and stuff. But for me, it's like all the other things that are outside of that. So, I'm like, are you struggling with this thing or whatever? Like, there are more unhinged ways to think about this problem that you haven't thought of, and just giving yourself the permission to do that, I guess, which has helped me a lot. Like, does it necessarily make the decision process easier? No, but it makes me feel less like there's something wrong with me and more that I just don't understand how my brain needs to tackle the problem, which took me a really long time. Like, it took us both and a lot of therapy to like get to the point where we are now, where we're not like, wow, I'm just an incorrect person.
Yes. I'm just a piece of shit. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm defective. If my brain just worked the way everybody else's brain worked, then I would not have this problem. I think there's also a certain level of like for me, I have a lot of drive and ambition, but I also really have a hard time being bored. Like, if I'm bored, that's when I get like, not necessarily like self-destructive, but I just do like, that's why I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm going to order like $200 worth of things I don't need. Or I'm going to like go to McDonald's at 2 a.m. because I'm just so like, I need some sort of like how debilitating being bored is for me.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you just like just sit down and relax? And I'm like, I can't do that. It makes me like, I'm talking about it now and I'm like,
yeah, it makes me super anxious, where I'm like, okay, I could be doing something. So like, one thing where Erika and I, and you're obviously the same way, but like really ambitious. We like our jobs. So like she and I both have admin jobs, and we work hours outside of our 40-hour work week that we're not supposed to. We do it all the time. So the one really negative thing with my job is that they gave me I have a desktop at work, but they also authorized me to have a laptop to travel with. I bring that bitch home. So when I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm super fucking anxious and I can't get back to sleep, I get on the work computer and get some shit done. Which is not what you're supposed to do. Like, you're obviously like, that's, you have to have a break. But for me, if I'm super anxious, and I do this a lot, where I either stay up way too late because I can't fall asleep because my anxiety is just at fucking 300%, or I wake up at 3 a.m. and I cannot get back to sleep because my heart rate is going so fast for no fucking reason. So for me, I'm like, I have to fill that space, or I will go on Amazon and buy a bunch of shit. We talked about this on the show. I did this like 4 months ago, that I spent like $600 on Temu. That I was like, whatever.
You got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I did. It was like fucking Christmas in July. It was bananas.
Yeah.
So like I need to figure out how not to do that. And like, obviously some people are like, you need to see a therapist. I'm seeing one. You need to be medicated. I'm medicated. Like, but there's still, and I have to, that whole like self-talk thing too has to be somewhat better. And whole, long story long is that this book really, really helped me to stop thinking of not stop, but to start the process of stopping entirely, hopefully, of thinking that I'm just a piece of shit, that I just am a shit human being, that at 34 years old, I can't keep my house clean. That's not exactly true. It's just not the way that other people would keep their house clean.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And also having somebody else be like you, what you said earlier is everyone presents the like acceptable part of their life, like the pretty part of their life, and not any of the like, this is bullshit that I have to deal with all the time, because we all, like, every single day you wake up and you have a certain level of bullshit that you have to wade through. And I think it's important to talk about that stuff, because especially, I mean, for us, we have, just in general, like everybody, but especially as women, like it is more difficult for us to be like, I'm unwell. And I'm still like, and I'm here and I'm doing it and I'm not okay because all of this other shit is happening. Yeah. And it's so hard and it's so stressful, and I'm still doing it. I'm still doing everything, but it's really difficult and I'm not having a good time. And I think there's a lot, at least for me, like younger Erika, when I was first starting in my career, there was a lot of, I'm like, I'm having such a hard time with all of this stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't feel like I'm qualified for this, and I'm doing all this stuff and it's super hard. And I look back and I realize that I was doing just fine, and I was putting in a lot of effort and I was working really hard to, get to where I am now. But if I had somebody, or even if I had literally anybody in my life that was like, no, it sucks for everyone. We're all just doing our best. Yes. I think that would be easier for me to get through it. Like I wouldn't have felt so isolated. Like,
and that's the thing that I've noticed, especially doing like all the book stuff, is when you first start out, like, the road to success is paved with embarrassment and isolation. And that is one thing people don't know. It is so embarrassing how many times I failed at things. Like, failed at things publicly. I don't care about failing personally. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I learn more from my failures than I do my successes. So I'm fine with that. But I'm a people pleaser. So I care about other people's perceptions of me. And so I'm like, oh, my family, like, they don't think this. Like, my parents are great, but like my family thinks, in my mind, oh, there's my like stupid sister or my stupid daughter trying a business endeavor, and it not working out for this, that, or the other. She's failing again. And like, nobody else thinks that way, to be honest. But I think that way. So I'm sitting here like all the time. Like, when I started this book stuff, I'm like, is this just another thing I'm going to try? And then when I get bored, I self-sabotage because I overthink.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, ooh, let me ruminate on this possible outcome until I hate myself and then I don't want to do it anymore, or I like emotionally explode on a person who's like involved in this, and then they're like, whoa, you're crazy, go away, please.
Or not even involved at all, and they're just there in the moment. Yes, been there.
Yeah,
they're just an innocent bystander.
Yes, like there's been so many times with Stacy where I'm like, I'm having this thing, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, you're fine, everything's fine. I'm like, and then I'm like,
what do you mean everything's fine?
I know. And then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, she hates me now. She thinks I'm like going to fly off the handle and I'm like spiraling. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But
it's like,
yeah,
about this?
When Erika and I came up with this idea, they had moved to North Carolina like 6 months before. I had been divorced, but I was in an IT class that was 4 nights a week, plus labs, plus homework, plus reading. And it was the worst schooling experience of my entire life. And we came up with the idea of the podcast literally while both of our lives were on fire, because we were like Erika's pets had died and or attacked each other, or both. Her fridge had gone out and she had to buy a fridge by herself while her husband was deployed. There was 500 things going on for her. There was 500 things going on for me. Well, the heat in my house went out and was out for a couple of weeks. And so like, there was just so much. And we were both like, man, you remember those like memes where it's like, we ourselves are understaffed at this time. And I don't remember who said it, but one of us was like, yeah, it's because we're living understaffed. And I was like, we should start a podcast.
Hey.
Are you saying that we should add something to our plates? Yes, I am saying that. And so like it's crazy. It's crazy that like she and I have been friends for a hot minute. And so like we know when each other is understaffed. Like this happens a lot like during the week because we both work our asses off. Trisha, you know, like you work your fucking ass off and you go to check in with your friend and you realize, holy shit, I haven't texted you in 4 days. Or I haven't called you in 4 days, you know? But then you're like, holy shit, bitch, you haven't called me in 4 days. Like, are you okay? Like, hold on. So like, it's crazy because the understaffed, this is part of it too, where it's the societal norm, at least for Americans, the way that I see it, is that we are living understaffed and everyone's okay with it. Like just, okay, we're understaffed. Okay, find another job so that you can figure it out. Okay, cool. We'll figure, you know, like we'll get there. Or we're just not going to get groceries this week because we can't. You know, like I feel like I don't know if it's like the state of society that we're in, or it's just like the current mindset that we have that's like socially acceptable. I don't know, but no, we're not fucking alone. We're not alone in that neurodivergence. We're not alone in like thinking that we're just fucking insane and that we're the only person out there that's struggling. We're fucking not. And that's like, that's the whole reason we're here, you know? Oh,
yep. It's hard. When like I grew up military kid, woohoo, Air Force brat. And, you know, I was fortunate that both my parents were in the Air Force for a long time, like growing up. But because of that, like I grew up with this perception of them, like our house always looked like Better Homes and Gardens ready, like clean, tidy, organized.
Yep.
Now I'm not wondering, like, do my parents have OCD? Because I have OCD. So I'm like, maybe they're just OCD in that way. I didn't get that flavor of OCD. But, and so like now, like my level of cleanliness because of my chronic illness, I'm like, I can't maintain a house that level. But like, I don't know, like I just look back at the 90s in like a sepia toned filter all the time.
Yes.
Same.
And I'm just like, we're never going to get that back. And I've accepted that. Like, that's okay. But what is the key to getting something of that back to where, like, I know that my kid is going to grow up and have, like, a good life kind of thing. Although he's a white male, so, like, he'll be okay.
Not wrong.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so, I don't. It's just one of those things, like, how can we take pieces of, like, our own personal history and then put that into current, like, our future selves? Do you, like, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah,
you are.
No, completely.
Yeah.
Like the things that you loved about your childhood, and also give yourself some credit in that you probably remember it with rose-colored glasses when it was not that clean all the time.
How dare you?
And it wasn't like, I mean, it's true. Or there were other things that were like lacking, or like, I don't know.
That's true.
Like you work and your husband just had brain surgery and you have a bunch of other things going on and you have a child and you have a full-time job. Like, it's easy to compare yourself with like your parents or whatever when their life and their circumstances were completely different from yours.
Completely.
And also,
true.
Like, I don't, like, for me, like my mom didn't work when I was really little. So like she had more time to maintain the house. I don't know what your mom's situation was, but if she doesn't, and that's her thing, like that is what she is fulfilled by, is having a house that's clean and presentable and looks like Better Homes and Gardens, then yeah, of course it's going to look like that. That's not what fulfills me. That's not where I put my energy.
That is not what fills my cup. Now,
No.
it fills my cup when I have company coming over. because I will panic clean for 30 minutes and be dripping sweat when they get here and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm totally fine."
Totally fine. My house is always
this pristine. Thank you.
As people come in and I'm like, "Oh, sorry about the mess," when I cleaned for like furiously. Like,
it's true. It's so true. So I had a date a few weeks ago that came to the house and I text my roommate and I was like, "Don't go in the laundry room," because I was like, I had worked like a 12-hour day and I threw everything in the laundry room. I'm like, "It has a door. It'll shut. It's fine." And so then I came in here and I like vacuumed and I changed my sheets and I like made my bed and everything. Like I made the area presentable, right? But like it'll never actually look like that in real life. Are you people kidding? Like there's no. But like I texted my roommate and she was like, "Oh, it's so," because she was out of town anyway. But I was like, "Listen, don't go in there."
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, if you come to my house, you're probably going to step on a dog toy and a Lego.
Yeah.
But okay, and my thing too is like when I go to my friends' houses, I don't give a fuck, but I can't give myself that grace. I don't understand why. Like my room is fucking my space, like my downstairs living area is fucking fine. The only thing that, because we have a dog, that's the only thing that I can't keep off of the carpet or keep out of every single piece of clothing that I own because we have a pet. Like everybody has experienced this at least once in their life. The only thing that for me that I should really be like on the radar for is, do you have a pet allergy? And beyond that, my house is fucking fine. But do I give myself that grace? Nope.
No.
Not at all. It's infuriating.
People don't think about us nearly as much as we think about ourselves.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also shifting the perspective from my house isn't clean, that means I am a bad wife, mother, human being, etc.
Is difficult.
Is difficult. And also, wow, like there are toys all over the floor. That means my kid had a good time today.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Provide him with toys. I am able to provide him with like a safe place where he can relax enough that he can play with his toys and he doesn't have to worry about anything else because I am providing this life for him. Which also, as a person who used to be a foster parent, it is super hard to be like, "Oh, it's actually okay," versus like, I'm not the most perfect parent. I am the worst. Like, I am either the perfect parent or I am the worst person that's ever lived. And I should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like someone coming over to your house and you have dirty dishes in the sink. Oh, you mean because I cooked a really nice meal for my people?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, Sarah, calm down. Because I ate food because it wasn't ramen, or even if it was, who fucking cares? Like, it's really baffling that we as a people can't give ourselves that grace. Or what I would really love, and I don't necessarily believe this is true, but what I would really love is to not care. Because if I didn't care, I could free up some space in my brain for other things, but that's not fucking possible. I care. I'm not going to say too much, but I care a lot. And I could dial that back, but am I going to? No. Let's get real.
No. My therapist has told me that I get 15 minutes a day scheduled where I can spend all that time worrying about whatever I want to worry about. I can make up stupid scenarios that probably will never happen. I can worry about stupid stuff at work that doesn't matter. Whatever I need to worry about, I have that 15 minutes. She's like, you can spiral. And then after that, that is your allotted worry time for that day. If later on in the day, you're like, oh my God, but what if, nope, I can't worry about that because I already did. And she's like, it's going to help work that muscle. Because I was like, that doesn't seem realistic. Like, what are you talking about? I need like a good hour of spiraling.
Way more time than 15 minutes.
Exercise. So that way later, you're like, it's more of like a personal like accountability mental exercise to where you're like, oh, wait, I've already worried about this. There's no need to worry about it a second time. Rather than like, I have a worry pot. Do you know what I'm saying? That accountability there.
Yeah, yes. I refer to my worry time as my morning rot, where I just sit in bed and I'm like, wow, I should be getting up. And then I just think of all the things that I should be doing and I'm not.
Yes. I have to be to work at 7 in the morning, so like there's no worry time.
Boo.
There's getting dressed and then going to Starbucks and then going to work.
Yeah. See, mornings
is non-negotiable.
Wow. Mornings is like my zen time because my job is so heavily customer service with my students and my staff. Not my staff, but my department. And it's I get up pretty early in the morning and have like a short workout, shower, get ready, get dressed, whatever. And then I'm actually to work roughly 45 minutes to an hour early because that time is no staff and no students at all. And like that's my make myself a cup of coffee, turn on the computer, listen to music really loud or whatever audiobook I'm listening to. And like that's my zen time, you know? But the shitty thing is because I deal with so much anxiety that when I wake up at 3 a.m, I'm manic mode from 3 to 5. And I can't get for me, it would be like, okay, just get up and work out and shower and then maybe try to take like a little nap before you go to work. No, I'm literally frozen in my bed, either with my eyes open or closed, and I'm just fucking laying there panicking about everything. Everything. Things that apply to me and things that don't. Like literally everything. And then when my actual alarm goes off, I'm like, oh, well, time to be done panicking. I have to work out. Like that's what the hell? What is wrong with my brain? What the fuck? Like, it's the most frustrating thing on the planet. God, but I will say, like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, my flavor of ADHD, like, I do have anxiety, but I struggle a lot with, like, motivation. Like, I have such a hard time, like, starting tasks. It's very, very difficult for me. So mornings are very hard. Because it's like, okay, like, get out of bed. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I am the worst about like, okay, like I need to do this thing. And I'm like, but I really don't want to do it. I just really don't want to.
Oh,
is there a reason why I don't want to?
Oh, we've talked about this. We've talked about that whole, cause I think that was the same book episode for the, How to Keep House While You're Drowning. That whole, like, we procrastinate on 5, 10, 15-minute tasks that will literally only take 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, but we procrastinate on them for weeks. And so, like, Erika's example was oil change in her car. Like,
oh, I'm terrible about that.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm having to do all of that stuff now because my husband can't do it. And so I'm like, for the first time in my life, I had to put air in my tires. And the whole time I was afraid my tires were going to blow up because I didn't know what I was doing. But I put it off for like 3 weeks anyways. And I'm just like, I'm a girl. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Can I give you a solid piece of life advice? Can I do that right now? So I have put air in tires 100 times before, but I went to 3 different gas stations because, like, you know, the temperature changes, makes your fucking tire pressure go up and down. So I had one of my tires was low. I went to 3 different gas stations and the pressure of the tire did not increase at all. And I was like, what the fuck? Because and then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm dumb. I just can't figure out the air machine. So then I'm like, okay, what are we doing? So hot tip for any of those people who like don't know if the air machine's working or don't know how to put air in your tires, go to one of those quick lube places and just tell them, hey, can you take a peek at the tire pressure of my tires? Like I have one that's low. They didn't charge me anything for it. Now, maybe it's because I'm a girl and maybe because I'm helpless and they're trying to save the girl that doesn't know what she's doing. But I was upfront. I was like, I don't need an oil change. Can you guys just look at the tire pressure? Because I can't tell if the gauge is broken in my dash or if the thing at the gas station just wasn't working. They did it for free. They got me in and out in 5 minutes. It was the nicest thing that I absolutely needed that day. So, hot tip.
I was talking about that because the last time I got an oil change, the guy like checked my filters and stuff, and I know for a fact that they charge for that. And he did not charge me for it. And I was talking to somebody about it, and he was like, yeah, take advantage as much as you can. And I was like, you know what? I will, because there's still a wage gap. When they close the wage gap, I will stop using my feminine wiles, please and thank you.
Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, when I go and finally have that remote gig that I want and I can start traveling and do whatever the fuck I want, I will be in Trinidad with Maya and Javed and Min, and we're going to buy a little bar on the beach, and I'm going to have my job where I travel, and those guys are going to be there just chilling at the bar that we own, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so good, and I will come visit and, you know, hang out at the business while I'm in Trinidad and, like, have some fun, and then I'm going to go to Africa for 6 months. It's fine. So, like, you know, then I won't have to worry about oil changes in a car because it'll just be either sold or in a parking garage somewhere. I don't know.
I love that for you. I'll manifest.
Thank you. Yeah. It's going to be really helpful in May when Erika and I rent that studio to record in, because that is going to be dope. Oh, you literally just have, like, since I've met you and the whole book beat thing came into play for May, my wheels have been fucking spinning. Like, I have done nothing but, like, we got to work on marketing and I got to work on more merch and I got to get this done. And, you know, like, I literally, Trisha, I literally created the banner, like one that I think that will legitimately order, just to put it in that graphic that I sent you for the mock-up in my brain, because I was trying to figure out how to show you what I was thinking. I spent like an hour on that shit. Like that, my wheels. Thank you. Yeah. I'll transpose it in the episode so everybody can see it. Like, I just, like, and now, you know, just having this conversation, like, now there's a fucking studio that we can rent inside the space that we're going to be at for are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm very excited. I'm very grateful to have met you. Yes.
Oh, no, yes, for real. Also, you gave us the best compliment either of us have ever received in our entire lives. So
I'm going to bawl my eyes out when I edit this. Like, it's going to be a couple weeks before I get to it. And I'm just like,
you just seem like two women.
The compliment that you gave me. Sorry.
Yeah.
About people don't talk about the impact that other people make on their lives. And I think it's so important that people hear, like, you did this for me. Like Stacey has single-handedly changed the trajectory of my life this whole year. Like, nothing will ever be the same for the best. And so I'm like, if I can give somebody else that, like, verbal high, that emotional high that she gave me, then I'm going to, like, spread that around like fucking glitter, you know?
Yes.
Because it's important that you guys know.
Yes. And it's crazy like too, because go ahead.
It's Sarah and I talk about gratitude a lot. Sarah more than me, she's better at it. But I think the same thing applies to, like, other people. Like, you know, you don't think about, it's not that you take people for granted, but, like, just because of everything that I'm sort of going through in my life, like, I have such a good group of friends right now. I've had multiple friends that are like, how are you doing? Are you okay? I know you're going through it. And they're all like, hey, like, I want to see you, but, like, just let me know. Like, just let me know. Like, no judgment, no, like, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, I feel like, and I'm just, you know, the whole time I'm just like, shit, I feel like I'm a shitty, there are certain things in my life that I am not on top of.
Right.
And because I just don't have the space for it. And I am so lucky to have so many people in my life that are like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Or, like Sarah is very good at prioritizing things for me, where she's like, I know that you are at max capacity, but can you do this thing? And I'll handle it, just like do these things. And I'm like, good. Cause the, like, prioritization is what is so hard for me. Or my friend Allison, who is just generally a great person. Like, she, at any point I can be like, hey, like, within reason, obviously. But, like, there have been a lot of times where I'm like, hey, like, I just need to get out of the house. I need to talk to someone. And she's like, great. Where do you want to go? You can come here. Like, just, and again, like, my friend Abby, who indirectly was on the pod, she's like, almost every day she sends me, like, a meme. And sometimes I won't look at my Instagram messages from her for, like, a week or two. And like 37 memes, and they're all hilarious, and they're all like, I love you. You're an amazing person. You're crushing it. You're my best friend. And I'm like, I have so many people like that in my life. And then my sister's here, and my sister's one of those people for me. And it's just like having those people that say those things out loud is so important, because it's
yes,
don't do that for themselves. I don't do that for myself.
No.
Women don't do that for themselves. And it's so important to have someone sometimes like look at you and be like, you are doing really well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. I think you're a great person for who you are and not what you accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Right? Because you don't realize how that's how you're living your life until somebody like sits you down and is like,
yes,
you are a good person and I love you. And you're like,
ooh.
And it's that, it's also the empathy side of it too, where like the compliment, like the person that's being there, that's being present with you is absolutely necessary, and we all need that in our lives. But it's also that empathic, like, bro, I know you are not okay, and we're going to figure this out, and you're going to be okay, and that's okay to have a low point. It's okay. But I'm also with you at that low point. So when you're ready to either stand up, or when you're ready to wade through these fucking murky waters to get you to that other side, whatever it may be, I'm still gonna fucking be here. So like I also think that those, like, the people that are doing those things and saying those things and kind of standing there, whether they're in the shadows or they're across the country or they're at your workspace, those people are so important. And like we could talk about that forever. We could literally talk about that forever.
Yeah.
And it like, and I say it a lot with like the podcast. The podcast is a huge creative outlet for me. So on a selfish level, I would be here doing a podcast with somebody, and I'm fucking stoked that it's Erika, because we get along super well. We have similar temperaments. We have similar likes and dislikes, but like the fact that we are crushing it despite being understaffed is everything. Like it's so important, and I'm so grateful for it.
Absolutely. And that's like how I felt with Lit and Libations. Like, I love the event. Like, it was great. I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, what a high. And then the next day, I had so many messages from so many of the authors and people that attended. And they were just like, hey, that was really great. I appreciated that you did this. I love that you guys did this. This was amazing. And I'm just like, oh, and it deflates the imposter syndrome balloon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
I believe in myself a little bit more every time. It's like Tinkerbell.
Yes.
That's exactly it. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's also unfair to it's unfair to assume that other people know how you feel about them. And it's unfair to ask yourself to be an island and solely self-sufficient and not be affected by the words or actions of anybody around you.
Yes.
Like, we are social creatures. We need that like togetherness and bonding. And it's so, and that's why that's why I think it's so important for people to hear other people be like, we're just doing our best. And it's sad. It's like, we are just barely like hanging on to our sanity by a thread.
Mm-hmm.
And our lives, considering we do at this moment, like, we have very stable jobs and we have 401ks and we have health insurance and we don't have kids, or Sarah and I don't have kids, and it's still so hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you have somebody else who's like, I'm so glad you said that, it made me feel less alone. Like, that to me, that's why we do this.
Hands down. Hands down.
Hi, my name is Trisha, and I am the Vice President of the nonprofit KC Book Beat. We aim to connect readers with local literary talent, fostering a deeper appreciation for the stories that shape our community. Through this catalog and our local events, we want to provide a platform for authors, bookstores, and publishers to reach a wider audience and strengthen their presence in Kansas City. We have so many amazing events coming up in the year 2025. We have our writers' workshop in January. We have a children's book fair in April and so many more, including our Casey Lit and Libations in May and November. Love to see you.
She's getting into customer service mode.
I do. I have to think about what I'm going to say.
You have to do the spirit fingers thing.
Forget halfway through. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you being on and listening this far. Thank you so much, Trisha, for coming on the podcast and being an absolute delight, and for telling us all about Casey Bookbeat and Sunfox Books. Also really excited. We will have links to all of that stuff in the show notes as well. We love you so much. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for giving us the best compliment we've ever received. And we are genuinely so excited to have you on, and we're so excited to see you in May, and for giving us the opportunity to like really do something that we are both genuinely super, super interested in, and giving us an excuse to be together in person because we suck at that. And thank you everyone for listening. Remember to like and subscribe and leave a review, and we have merch. It's still before Christmas. Be sure to buy a You're Welcome shirt to give it to your weird conservative uncle, just as a favor to us, please. Remember to join our Discord for the December book discussion. That book is going to be Sprinkles and Sea Serpents by Danielle Garrett. Again, that will be on our Linktree and in the show notes and all of that stuff. Remember to like and subscribe and send everything to everybody you think will like it, and leave a review. And we love you so much, and without you, we'd be potting into the void. Let's talk about merch.
I'll cut it together. It's fine. I'll just cut it together. It's already a shit show. It's fine. All right.
The good thing about our show is that it can be good for the plot and the brand.
That's true. It's part of our lore.